Hey everyone, it's Larry here at LC Model Shipbuilding, and in this episode we're going to be working on the B deck, which is right behind me, and doing interior spaces on that. So it's going to start off with doing the grand staircase, and I'm not using Woody's or Maritime models on this deck. I will be using it on the upper A deck, but I'm not using it on the B deck. So we're going to modify the Trumpeter one and do a little bit of scratch building, and then we're going to move into sheet H of Woody's photo etch for the interior cabin spaces up at the front of the ship. I do change the carpet about midway through because I was under the impression that a lot of the first class was blue. I don't, at this point, I don't even know. I kind of gave up on which color it was, so it's going to stay blue at this point. But I like how it looks, so we're gonna stick with that. But anyway, thanks for tuning in and watching. Please consider giving a like and subscribe, and let's get started building. Okay, so here we go with B deck. So here is our deck, and first thing we're going to do is go ahead and put our scale decks on. The only thing I gotta look at is if this lines up with the other one or not. So I just want to double check that. So I'm not sure if I have to paint that white, but I want to double check. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and put the decks on. I'm pretty sure this is covered though by the other piece. So we'll be back after I get the decks on. No real sense in filming that because I've already showed it several times on previous videos. So we'll be back shortly. Okay, so I remembered from watching Ben's video that the aft grand staircase is out of position from where it needs to be. So I don't have a whole bag of the staircases that he did. So what I did was took the distance of the step basically and then measured it back and then cut it here. And what I'm going to do is put a piece of styrene on here, raise it up just a little bit so it's extending up on here, get it painted up. Essentially I'm doing what he did, just without having the nice pretty 3D printed ones. I do have the nice ones from Woody's for up here on the A deck, but I don't for the B deck. So I'm going to kind of do my own little thing on this, and I'll put the flooring around it and all that kind of good stuff, but that's kind of what the plan is. So I'm going to go ahead and get this kind of put together and ready to go, and we'll be back. Okay, so this portion of the grand staircase is not going to be really visible at all, so I'm going to, I already cut out the other one as I showed here. I used the printout pieces, and I know it's not exactly right, but you're never ever going to be able to see it because to view it, you would have to get through the outer hall, and then you'd have to be looking through one of these windows right here. So there's just really no possible way that this is even really going to be visible. Maybe slightly from above, but whatever. I'm doing what I'm doing. So this is more at this point about trying to get the look for it for me, just because that's what I do, I guess. So I'm going to use these windows here from the first class lounge, and what we're going to do is make these our banister parts basically. So I'm using some of the I-beam stuff that I used back on the poop deck, and that actually is going to pretty much measure out exactly how I need it to make this work, I do believe. So my plan is take I-beam, put in there, and then put rail above and below it to basically give me the look that the step would have. So that will go on there like that. There's going to be some railing above and below it, coming down to a banister. And yeah, we're going to see how this works. So I'm going to paint these up, and then eventually hopefully glue them down. So we'll see how that comes out in a minute here. I'll be right back. Okay, so this, I mean, it's not perfect. I don't need it to be perfect because you're never going to see it, but anyway, I got the banisters going, and they're gonna look the part. I mean, realistically, 2 decks down and going through that little tiny window, yeah, you're not gonna see it. But anyway, I might be putting way too much time and effort into this, but I'm just really waiting for the decks to dry, and it gave me some time to work on something like this. So I like scratch building things, so yeah, there we go. Okay, so what we're going to do here, I'm going to start our cabins. So basically, I have my China 3D wall that will go here, and I just wanted to measure up, make sure my windows pretty much lined up. So essentially, cabin 2, 3, and I believe it's 4, 5. I have the floor plan here that I'm using from Ship Magnificent. So I'm actually going to put that kind of right in front of me here so I can kind of see it as I'm going. And then we got our Woody's cabins all painted here. Now this I used flat white Tamiya and then just painted over it with, not painted over it, but sprayed over it with my dull coat, and as you can see, I'm scratching at it and not really having any issue there. So if you've used Tamiya paint and airbrush before, you probably know that it scratches very easy, but if you seal it, it really actually does pretty good. So what I'm going to do to start this, obviously I have carpet going on here, and everything I'm seeing, it appears to be a pink carpet, so that's what I'm kind of going with. Now I know that right here where these 2 doors are, that will be a hallway that goes down the first class. So what I'm going to end up using for that is probably this one right here, and I'll just replicate the hallway using that. So it does come with a bunch of spare walls too, which I'll be able to use to probably mimic that hallway as I'm going, but I'll figure that out more as I'm going. So what we're going to do first, basically measure out the distance of this first set of cabins here, and that's what my carpet will be cut to. So I know it's going to slightly overlap, and I'm okay with that right now because I will end up covering it with that other tile like I showed there. So I'm okay basically doing the overlap. Now this stuff will be visible through windows. Obviously there's sprue in there, but you will be able to see through this, so in my opinion it's worthwhile doing. The one factor that this is going to have is it will add weight. So with the batteries I'm using, I'm actually not that worried about the weight on this end because I'm using lithiums, which are quite a bit lighter. So we're gonna see how that goes once it comes time to ballast this up. And I got a few sheets of this this mauve, I guess we'll call it mauve carpet. It's actually for the writing room. But everything that I'm seeing, it does appear that these rooms were kind of a mauve carpet. So as you get farther aft in the B deck, the rooms become kind of individualized, I guess you'd say, because you have a Louis the 16th, you have an Empire room, there's several different names that each room had, and they all have individual carpet colors and furniture and wall decor. But up here, this is a more standardized first class room, and it looks like I said, everything I'm seeing, that mauve would have been the carpet that we would be choosing, so that's what I'm going to go with. If I'm wrong, you know what? Every picture of Titanic is black and white, and everybody that would know for sure is dead. So I guess at this point, just going to go with what I know. So I also went on and tried to check out what I could find on Honor and Glory too, but yeah, there's only so much you can really find. So here we go. That is essentially where that carpet lands. To put this on, I am going to use the same glue that I've been using for the decking, which is our wood glue. So it's a water-based glue. I also used it on the tiles back when I did the D deck, I believe, and the other one that I scratch built. So this should be fine. And it should stick pretty good. All right. So we're going to lay this down. Then I'm going to cut out room 2, or cabin 2, I guess you'd call it. And we're going to make sure that we're at the right width right in here. Not, well, depth basically aft. So, number 2. Cabin 2 is, you know what, I'm going to do 1. Might as well start with 1. Might start with 2, right? Drop my knife. Now the great thing about this stuff is it's pretty much all 90-degree bends. So what I'm going to do is match up where my door is, which room 1 will be on the far side. Hold on, I gotta make sure I'm going in the right direction here. So yeah, room 1 goes on this side. I just have the book transposed, so I want to make sure I'm doing odd and even on the right side, because alright, so number 1, and these just simply bend. They're not hard to bend, which is very good. And that guy would sit right there. Now, it has two other walls, which I'm curious exactly what those walls are, because the directions are not showing said walls. B1, B2, nope, that's definitely bedroom 1, or cabin 1. So, I'm mildly confused looking at the floor plan right now, because I don't know where these other two doorway type things go. And I don't believe they're windows. And they're not the bathroom, because there's lavatories that would sit over here. I get that, but that's not what I got going on here. So bedroom, or well, we'll say cabin 4. Let me look at that one a minute. That one makes more sense. And then cabin 6 is larger, and that makes more sense. Unless it's an outer wall, but no, that wouldn't be it either. So, what I think I'm going to do is look at the directions here in a minute, but I have to go online to do that. So, I know for sure that one lands right there. I just don't understand what those walls are. So, I'm going to take a look at that, and then I will come back with an answer. So, we'll see what we find out, and I'll be right back. Okay, so after looking at that more, I do believe they either are extra or they go on the bulkhead here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this so I can actually see if it lines up here or not, because right now I'm perplexed. But I have a message out to Neil, and we'll see what he says, but it's probably the middle of the night on the other side of the pond right now, so not really expecting an answer right this second. So in the meantime, we're gonna get this kind of cut out, and I'm just gonna line it up and see what happens. So these are very tiny, and this is going to take some real careful cutting, as I've just realized, because there is little stanchions on the on this side right here, and I broke one, luckily just one. So I'm going to fix that real quick with a bit of CA glue, and then carry on with cutting it out here. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut those before I start cutting any of the main supporting pieces. Okay, yay, that worked. And if by chance I overcut or one breaks, I do have a ton of these that I can always use from the KA set on the brass, so I'd rather not break them, but if I do, it's not the end of the world. And these are very, very light supports, so it does not take much effort or heat to trim them. Okay, so now we're going to come across right here. Just go nice and slow. Don't put your fingers on those stanchions. It's very easy to do. That should be just about it. It's stuck right there. Hit myself just a bit. Okay, it doesn't look like I lost any of my stanchions, which is great. So that's going to go into a very safe place here, away from the ship, once I figure out if I need to utilize that for those walls. So that guy rides right there. Pretty much just like that. And then this sits right here. So now I want to cut one of these off here and see if the window lines up to it. It does not. Okay, so I am now beyond confused what those are for. I will get an answer, and once I have the answer, I will share that with all of you. But I'm going to say, after looking at many pictures and many floor plans, that does not go there. I mean, I'm sure it's part of the ship in some way, shape, or form, but I don't think it is part of what I need to be doing. So, what we're going to do is mark out our center point, which is right there. And I have a center point marked back here, right there. So I'm just going to kind of follow that line so that I get my cabins lined up where they're supposed to go. Okay, I'm slightly off. There we go. That's better. All right. Now, don't do what I just did. I wasn't happy with it, so I moved it a little bit. Okay. So there we go. First rooms. So that's 1 and 2. Now, next I'm going to do 5 and 6, and then I'll do 3 and 4 because that will determine our hallway size here. And that also means that I'll end up putting a wall right here because you'll be able to see into that window. And I'll end up putting the carpet down too. Not carpet, I'm sorry, tile. So we're going to cut out number 5 right now. And again, I'm using Ship Magnificent's floor plan, so if you don't have a floor plan for Titanic, the book actually has some pretty good solid floor plans, so highly recommend getting yourself a copy or finding a copy online of the floor plan. I originally wanted to buy a 1/200 scale printed floor plan. That turned into a fiasco, so needless to say, I don't have a large floor plan that I'd like to have. Okay, so this guy, the door is out here, which means the window goes up here. And then door. Okay, whoops, drop my knife. So then you have another window that's over here, and these are also the China 3D windows that go over here. So I just want to make sure they're lining up how they're supposed to with this. It should go there, I do believe. That'll be on the outside. Okay. So that's essentially what happens with this room. Now I gotta bend it a little bit more, obviously, and figure out if that window, yep, the window will line up. Perfect. Oh wait, maybe not. It looks like it wants to line up. Interesting. Let's look at Trumpeter piece for a minute. Well, it has 3 windows also. So, according to the deck plan here, that window should be right there. And this window should line up right with this one. Which it does not quite. Okay, so this is interesting. And that is number 5. Okay. So, time to do a little bit of reading, and I will be back. Okay, so no big deal. I realize what the problem is. Not a major deal at all. So, reason my front window was not lining up, Woody, or Neil, I keep calling you Woody, sorry. Neil built his set to the kit. Me using China 3D, they corrected the windows that should have been placed in the right location by Trumpeter. So as you can see, windows are not in the right spot. Okay, so that explains that, which actually just made life a little bit easier. The side beam here, not beam, but side L, actually fits perfectly fine when you bring it all the way up to where it's supposed to be. So I made the error of not realizing that that piece right here should have been carpet also, and I have misset this. So I gotta pop these off, run my carpet up to here, and then set my my cabins. So like I said, not really too big of a deal. The other thing that I just found out, my first class cabins flooring probably should have been blue. So I'm going to see if I can find some blue paper and get a blue carpet in there. But in any case, the mystery has been solved, and now I understand why I was having the fitment issues that I was. So, my fault, not a big deal, but hopefully this will help somebody in the future from making the same error that I did. Luckily, I haven't gotten that far, and it's really not going to be that big of a deal to fix this. In fact, the glue is not even completely set up yet, so I should be able to just pop this off and scrape up the mauve carpet and replace. Okay, good deal. So that came off. I'm going to have to do a little bit of trimming, but not a big deal. And we're going to see how much of this. Yep, that's going to come right off. Perfect. Alright, beautiful. Now, because that is a little thicker, I think I'm going to cut that piece of decking off because I want my level of my roof to stay pretty much flat, and this has a little bit of a lip there. So that could cause me issues when it comes down to putting a deck on, and I don't really want to have that problem, which I'm probably going to already run into anyhow with these here. So it is what it is. I'm going to have to kind of figure it out as I go. I did take the Trumpeter one off just to take a look at it. China 3D is slightly bigger, but not much, so I'm not too worried about that. But in any case, I'm going to trim that back right here. I'm going to start it. That way, when I put the China 3D piece down, it should be dead on to where it should go. Now, there isn't any blue pre-made carpets for first class. So I think I'm gonna probably just end up using like a construction paper, unless I find something better here in the next couple minutes. But I don't see why construction paper wouldn't work. These aren't exactly going to be overly visible, but if I can get blue in there, I'd rather get blue. Okay, there we go. That came off nice and easy. So the other nice part of this is now I know exactly how big my carpet needs to be, or how far back my carpet needs to go. So this will be a hallway now, as it's supposed to be, and yeah, we'll be able to do that a little bit more accurately. If I can't find a decent blue paper, I will just stick with the mauve. I thought the mauve looked actually okay too, so I'll be fine with it. But like I said, if I can find something that's a little bit more correct, I'd rather do that. So we're learning a little bit of trial and error here. But again, if you're doing this full China 3D Woody's setup and everything like that, it's definitely worth knowing this. The other piece of it now is this front wall I need to take off, because it's just basically going to be like that now. So that was an easy fix. And I got another piece of wall in case I need it for a different area. And it has a window, so that could come in handy for a hallway or something along those lines. So now that guy rides right there, and I'm just going to use the Trumpeter one for testing purposes. A minute. And yep, my windows line up. There we go. That was the problem. So beautiful. Alright, let me pause it, get some blue paper, and I will be right back. Okay, so here we go again. I was talking to a buddy of mine, Mark, and we were discussing the carpet. And he had a exhibit from one of the Titanic museums. Actually, I believe it was the Belfast one. And it had all of the different carpets in there. So first class was blue carpet, and after thinking about that, I remembered that when I toured the Titanic Museum in New York City, it was indeed blue carpet. So I actually found that blue painter's tape is almost a dead-on match to it. So there is what we have. And that's going to work. So now I have my cabins relocated, and everything seems copacetic with them. I'm just cutting this piece out real quick from the China 3D to make sure that everything is essentially lining up now how I need it to. But I'm pretty sure now that we have gotten it kind of squared away to where it needs to be. I feel pretty good with it. I like the blue, and once I realized it, yep, easy switch to make. So no more mauve carpet. That's okay. So anyway, this is the replacement that they offer. Now, when it comes to the China 3D versus the Trumpeter kit, the Trumpeter kit is missing a window, so that window is missing right there. And then this is going to ride right here, and my window now lines up perfect, and life is beautiful. Just want to make sure that this now lines up perfect as it did last that I checked, and yep, we're gonna be perfectly fine. So there we go. That was the solution basically, and everything now is good. So giddy up, onward we go. Now I can put these into a safe place. I'll move them after I'm shooting, but I'm gonna go ahead next and cut out our next two rooms, cabins, whatever you want to call them, which is number 5, number 5. Nope, 6. I was right. Yeah, because I did my odd already. So, here we go. We learned a little bit as we went here. So, now we're definite that it was blue carpet. I have pictures that also show that. The hallways were also blue. They had kind of an oriental red rug in them, which I think I have a solution for that too. So, planning on detailing out this hallway, and think it'll look pretty good. I pretty well have it envisioned what I'm going to do. So essentially, this video is going to be all about putting these together, getting myself basically back to the grand staircase. That also needs to get moved back, so that's got to come back to here, but that'll be later in the video. But we'll pretty much do the exact same thing that we did on the other side. So my door will be here. This wall comes off, so I'm going to take that one off a minute, and you can just basically bend it and break it off. No big deal. These ones that are right next to the door, they're a bit challenging. You need tweezers for sure to make that bend, but otherwise no biggie. And tweezers for here help also. Okay. So that is essentially going to do the exact same thing that we did over on the other side. And that will ride right about there. Yep. Okay, so a little bit of glue. And now that we got this moving, we're off to the races, because I was highly confused just how that was going earlier, so I'm very happy to have discovered what the problem was. Okay. Now we have room number 4 and room number 3. So those are the two that we skipped that kind of go in here. And then we'll set our hallway in there. And then we'll do probably some furniture. So this one is number 3. And number 3, the door actually goes out towards the hallway on the inside. That's interesting. All right, so that kind of does one of these, and goes like that, and it basically sits right there, and then it has this real narrow little hallway in between those two, which I just want to see how my lineup is going here. Well, the hallway is not exactly where that needs to be. So, what do we do in this case? It's not off by much. I could just black out the window, which may end up being... That's probably what I'm going to do. I'm going to black out the porthole, because all of the other windows will be able to see the rooms in here, and you won't be able to tell from the porthole. Yeah, that seems like the solution that is most viable. So it won't be a big deal, and it's just barely missing it. You can see it right there. So that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'll put a little glue on here, and that's one less detail that I actually have to do, because now I don't have to put any sidewall on the edge of the outside wall here, so I'm okay with it. And you won't really be able to tell anyhow. Okay. So we'll get that on, and then we'll put the other room in, and then it'll be time to put down some furniture, I suppose. Just in the interest of getting this to set up properly and quickly, I use a little accelerator. There we go. Okay, I do like this blue and white. It really has a nice look to it. I think once the furniture is in there, it's gonna pop nice off of each other. Now, the other aspect that I didn't think about, it might not even be Trumpeter's set that Neil has it matched up to. I bet you it's his own, because he has his own wall that would go out there, and I bet you if I hold them up, they're not going to be exact. So there you go, a little deductive reasoning or something along those lines. But that is all part of what you're doing when you're mashing together multiple different aftermarket setups to a kit that's already not perfect. So we'll make it work, and it'll look just fine, I do believe. Okay, so now there is, if I'm not mistaken, a window that will then go into this hallway. Yep, so we're gonna put a wall on the hallway here. So we're gonna use a piece of the spare wall that is here. And that actually has a door on it. B-wall. I just want to make sure I'm using actual spare. Now the other thing I see, which is a good thing here, the brass is just short of the ceiling here, which is going to enable us to do our what do you call it, our lighting to come across here. Because I was questioning what that would look like. Okay, now I could get really crazy. Whatever. I'm gonna cut it. Or bend it, I mean. I was gonna say, you'll never be able to see that door. So I'm gonna cover the wall there. Should work. Perfect. Okay. That's gonna go right on there, like that. And yes, I know I'm covering the door, but you'll never see it. Because that will line up right there, and then we have a hallway. Alright, I love it. Absolutely love it. And I'm gonna do the same thing down this wall right here, because potentially you could see through into there. Then next up, it's just gonna be I guess I'll do the fitment of the next wall after that. Uh-oh. That is not another... That is a hallway. It has to be. No, that's room 8. bit of experimentation here, ladies and gents. This one though definitely will be okay to do. And again, I'm blocking a door, but you'll never see it. Okay, so that is room number 7 and 9. So we're going to check these guys out a minute. Room 9 is on this side. It's a smaller room, so it has a, well, you'll see what happens here in a second, because I'm going by the floor plan, obviously, so it kind of tells me how this is supposed to lay out. So this is 7. I'm going to go ahead and cut 9 now also. I'm sorry, not 9, but yeah, it would be 9. Where's 9 at? That was 9. Oh, there is no room 7. Interesting. So it would be almost just a hallway. So I wasn't completely wrong here. So there's a wall that would go back here to become the other room. I'll show you what I mean here in a minute once I fold this up. So this is room 7. I'm sorry, this is room 9. Our door is out here. Yep, okay, I understand. Okay. I understand why he's not providing the door, or the room either, because it would be almost not visible. Basically what happens is room 7 comes all the way here and then goes down here, like almost down like this hallway here, and it's basically so passengers would have access to that window that have room 7. So this one gets that window, this one gets that window, and this one gets the third window. That's how this works. So that's interesting, but that is what it is. Except I folded it backwards. It's actually this guy over here, but whatever, that's fine. I caught it before I glued it down. Okay, and yep, our windows line out absolutely dead on perfect. So now I do want to go back to putting that wall back on that I made here earlier and cut apart, because you will see that. Okay, now we'll do the same thing right there. and then for that room over here on the opposite side. Okay, so I'm going to put this one on, and then I'm going to pause it and just basically lay out all of them here, and then when we come back we will start putting furniture together and installing that. So in a nutshell, it gets very repetitive from here. It's just going to be a matter of making sure I'm putting the right room in the right place, and really probably won't be too exciting as I do this part. So I will be back, and we'll see where we're at. Okay, so I'm back and forth on this at this point, but I'm staying with blue at this point. I've seen different pictures and colors and all that stuff. I know the rooms down here on the aft side of the grand staircase did have different colored carpets, so I will do them correctly. But at this point, we're keeping this blue up here. I like how the blue and the white looks anyway, so it is what it is. Next up, what we're going to start working on is the furnishings. So I got my message back from Neil, and the piece that I was curious about earlier in the video, which were these, are actually wardrobes. So it's meant to have a piece of foil in the back here, like that, and that's a mirror. So we're going to put them in with some tin foil, and then we got all these sinks and beds and everything else to build. So I'm going to start putting them together, and we're going to see how that turns out. So I'm going to do one or two, and then I'll do a video of actually putting it together, or folding them and everything once I kind of figure out the technique for it. And then we'll pretty much finish up all these rooms, getting them all furnished. I got pretty much everything done with the grand staircase that I'm planning on doing. I have it over in the other room right now, so I'll grab that later and show you that. I got the windows painted for the private promenade. That will be next video, because we'll start probably right here and work our way that way. But this video, I want to get everything up here pretty much done. Now, the reason, while I'm here and thinking about it, these two are wider because they have two windows that go in here. So I took a piece of the same type of wall to kind of go all the way up to the up to where the wall for the hallway would be, basically. And yeah, that's how I did it. So I'm kind of just following the floor plan here. But yeah, anyway, that's kind of where we're at right now with the rooms. Like I said, I'm going to go ahead and start kind of assembling some of these, and then I'll come back at you and show you what they look like. So I'll be back. Okay, so I've done a couple rooms, as you can see, cabins, whatever you want to call them. What I'm going to show here, and I think how I'm going to do this is I'm going to show basically the room assembly for this video, and then I'm going to do a whole entire video on just bending the furniture and then setting them in another room. So what I'm doing, one, I'm using the Ship Magnificent book for furniture placement, and it's not all 100% because you do run into times where the walls are just a little bit too small for where they're supposed to be, but that's very rare from what I'm finding in this. So I can pretty much run it to what the floor plan calls for, which makes this pretty nice. So I only really ran into an issue on one room so far. So essentially, we're just going to put the furniture into where it calls for on the floor plan. And I do know that's also available online, and I think it's also on Woody's website, or Maritime Models website. And he basically made the furniture set up to be built and placed off of the floor plan, so it makes it pretty simple to follow, as long as you can read a map. But hopefully, if you're building this kit and you're doing this set, you can kind of read a floor plan. But if not, we'll go over that in the individual video as well. Like I said, this one's just kind of showing placement of how I'm doing this. You know, once in a while you run into a slight issue where you have to kind of push a little bit, and that's probably my fault, because I can see this wall is kind of a little bit bent from where I would probably like it to be, more than it should be. Alright, next up we have a wash basin, which is 2 double sinks, or 1 double sink. And I'll show these closer up in the individual video. Like I said, this one's just all about placement for one room quick. Okay. And then we got a DT stands for not day table. I can't think of the word for these. It's basically the makeup table. And they have mirrors on them. But I'll show how I'm doing the mirrors and all that when we do the next little video. And that video is going to be a fairly short video, because I'm only really going to cover the actual building of the furniture and placement in the room. Okay. Got a chair here. The chair is tricky because it is shorter than the table. So the one thing with these two, the legs are very small, so you're not going to want to use them as a mounting point. What I've been doing is kind of getting glue on the top of the top of the chair, and then gluing it to the bottom of the table, basically, to kind of hold it in place, and that's been working pretty well. And I don't have them all placed exactly, because really they probably wouldn't be all pushed in. And we are going to have people on the ship, so it would be, you know, normal to think that chairs had been moved around and whatnot from the passengers. And this here is a luggage carrier that sits up on the wall above the bed. But again, we'll go over all of that in the next video of what each individual piece is and how they go together. So Neil even includes, well, it's a add-on cost, but the pillows for the beds, I don't have them all on them yet, but I did get them. They're on a couple of them that you can probably see here. But there we go. So that's essentially a room put together. And you know what, this is one of those ones that I'm going to, I put the heater in the wrong, did I put it in the wrong spot? Yeah, just slightly, not a big deal. I'm just going to move it over because I'm going to move the bed over, I mean. It's not going to be 100%, but again, what you're looking, or what you're going to see these rooms through is a window that is so small that it's going to be quite hard to actually see. So I'll kind of show what the window view through would look like. I don't even know if you'll be able to see it. So that's our front bulkhead. But essentially, you can definitely see the rooms through it. So I don't know. I think it's a well worthwhile detail. And you can see, you know, the mirrors on the individual cabinets in here and the mirrors on the sinks. So I'll show how I do all that, like I said, in the next video, and we'll get that all squared away. So that video will be a short one, probably no more than about 15 minutes, I'm guessing. And then the next, like, full-length video will be finishing up grand staircase room in here, and then building our private promenade here. We got to put a wall right here that isn't included, and then our set of rooms that'll go in here. So we'll probably do this. Basically, I want to finish this up. And then I'll do this one in the next video. Then there's a whole bunch of cabins that come down along this area, and then back here we have some restaurants, and you got the cafes and Parisian cafe and all that good stuff that comes back here. So this deck is going to have a lot, and there's going to be several videos to this one till it's all said and done. And then we'll get into the lighting aspects too, because what my plan is individual lights probably above most of these cabins, which will wire in from the upper part. We're going to have to put a big hole in here for our smoke to pass through. And yeah, I mean, all in all, pretty darn happy with this setup from Maritime Models. So that's going to conclude this video, and next one, like I said, is going to be doing just one individual room and showing how that's done. So thanks for tuning in and watching, and we will see you next time.